Yo,
Yo,
what's happening?
yo, what's good, man? I just got the beach water just in my mouth. So it's funny. It's nice timing.
Yeah, man. I don't even know what you like to speak about, but I figured we'd talk about the conversation you just had, man. Because I ain't got nothing in mind.
Oh yeah, that convo was all I asked for was definitions. I just had to. There were like specific words I just wanted that dude to define. I don't want to say I used them like a dictionary, but I kind of looked at it like an oracle. But he gave me some. It's just more. I don't know, more clarity on function. Just think about function. I'm literally just trying to function now. Like I said, it's funny.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess just want everything to be functioning or working or whatever. Dysfunction or dysfunctional, working uh, or some sort of unemployment.
Yeah, so it's looking like I got to learn about carpentry. I don't have to, but I'm gonna look into carpentry and electro engineering too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're just gonna learn about your body and your being, more with that stuff. Wouldn't hurt nothing.
Yeah, it'd probably benefit the most too, so it's cool. I was just yeah.
Yeah, man. So, I guess what's up, man? How's LA? How's it looking down there? Or got anything that you had on the agenda?
No, it's still. I mean, if I am looking at the city though, it's a nice like log report every now and then too of like where it's at currently. I still don't know, man. That's so crazy. There's just a lot of sick people, a lot of smelly streets, like specific
Smelling
smelly.
street.
Yeah, it's like yeah. People would say San Francisco's really bad. Like, I felt like were people saying that a while ago?
I seen they in the news they talking about there's so many fentanyl addicts and stuff in the streets, and the kids has got to walk through them to go to school and get off the bus. They got to walk through them and go home.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. So a lot of people, I don't know, walk around doing security. Like I was just sitting on the corner, just like this dude's like, oh, so ready to call the police on me or something to get me. It's so crazy. They're like kind of, I don't know, they're kind of shepherding people into certain geographic regions downtown. Like that's been going on for a while. Like, those, yeah, this specific streets are super smelly. Like I could not believe on some of them. And I saw people just smoking broad daylight. Like I don't want to pull my phone out to record this shit, but it's still at the same time like this shit's crazy.
Yeah, I seen some of the footage. What I mean, from NorCal. I haven't seen LA, but I know Skid Row. It's that shit is like its own little colony down there. It's probably a bunch of shit though, little colonies all over for the like that situation.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's crazy. Well, it's not cool, but just I was realizing though, just even with the train, because there's a train that goes straight from downtown to Santa Monica, but I don't know, they got that shit designed so it's just like, on the weekends they'll use like half the cars on that shit that they usually use for the weekdays just to prevent more traffic going from the downtown just to Santa Monica. And they're like protecting areas. There's nicer areas, and that shit just gets policed in a way that I didn't even realize till I got here.
Yeah, damn man. You gotta feel for them people. I know they, a lot of motherfuckers is just really pushed into them situations, or some of them, they choose to be homeless. You know what I mean, some people do choose to be homeless, but a lot of motherfuckers got pushed into it.
It's just crazy when you look at it like face to face. It's like fuck, because
Yeah,
like damn, you can really do, you can just do, you really can do whatever. But I don't know, man. There's a plots we talked about, even just the intergalactic parasite plot. I don't know if that's still connected. It's not even relevant. I don't know.
it's just like the zombie apocalypse, man. But like nobody, I guess, just another like the instead of like the movie like doped up inflated idea of it, it looks like just fentanyl and stuff.
Yep. There's and every time I say it, I go there, I think also of just like other shit going on with like certain storms, or I don't know if you seen about UFOs like a minute ago.
Yeah. I wonder, man. I wonder what's gonna happen with that, man. But I know what you know. The leading cause, you know, what the leading cause of death for men between 30 and 50 is in America right now, man.
I can't even guess. Tell me.
It's fentanyl ODs.
Oh fuck! Right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I had a neighbor up here. You know, it's this meth heads all over the mountains, man. And I had a couple neighbors up here that was that. You know, they I guess they can't get meth, so they switching to fentanyl. And the one chick OD'd like twice in a month, and like she didn't die though. It's like, but I mean, it's just crazy that you would OD and just keep doing it. But I talked to this one girl about it that I know. That's she's from somewhere. She's not from California, but she was telling me like, "Yo, man, the hangover is so bad that you just want the hangover to stop, so you just do it again. It's not even
Oh,
like you enjoy the drug, but I guess that's kind of every drug though. There's a lot of respect.
this is as far as like how a general mind trip goes, or like a substance mind trip.
Yeah, it's like I guess you know, as long as you're craving it, it's not really out your system. So I guess you just you know, if you're going through desire, you're suffering at some level. You know, if shit's just flowing and it's just like I guess it's just happening and you're not going out your way to get it. It's a funny thing. Like it's a fine line with that. Like if you're not going out your way to get it and then it happens, then I get you know that you get involved with a substance. I guess it's like a lot easier to like detach from it. But then at the same time, it's like, have you already gone out of your way and you're just in some place now where it's just keeping you there? I don't know, but as long as
Like
you come,
once the hangover's over, then you want to
yeah,
crave.
you know, like the hangover for everything, like whether it's like sex or everything, man, sex or money or any kind of drug or substance or whatever, like as long as you desire it, it's like you're still intoxicated kind of by the rush or by, you know, some part of the process of like acquiring it. Because you know what I mean? Like you get whenever you acquire something, your body releases dopamine. Shut me like if you make your bed and you like or accomplish a little goal throughout your body gonna secrete some dopamine a little bit, a little homogenous amount. So like if you like you know, if you're fucking trying to acquire fentanyl all day and then you get it, like that your body probably just like all the dopamine that you produced all day is now gonna get released right then just from acquiring.
Wow.
Probably, I mean, and then what you got left in the tank from when you do it, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that shit wild. I can't think about how it just resets. Like yeah, the whole cycle just resets itself, and I don't even know if it's like a cycle, but it's like you said the dopamine. It's that's the craziest part. Is when it's the whole time all of the stimulus it was all being controlled just by your dopamine drip and how you're able to let your dopamine drip. But people, and it's like it doesn't matter what the object is. People turn anything into a drug at that point.
Yeah, accomplishing anything or acquiring anything, like you know, people be like, you know, even if it's just working out, you know, once it becomes like measured and you're like, yo, I gotta get these 30 bench presses in or whatever it is, plus you know whatever your workout is, like completing it is like a dopamine rush, and like any completion or acquisition of something, your body's gonna be like, all right,
It's
we
a
accomplished something.
feeling.
Yeah, drugs is
Is it,
crazy. Natural drugs is crazy.
nice. Wait, so you can control your own dopamine release though?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it like, yo, this is gonna happen now that once I accomplish stuff, so I'm out to accomplish things that aren't like euphoric in the wrong way. You know, when you do something wrong, you get that same sense of euphoria, kind of as if you do something right, but you're gonna crash, and it's just like that. It's like a different kind of rush. It's not like that steady steady rise and steady decline that comes with like natural highs when you're doing things that's like in alignment with moving forward.
Yeah, even the word buzz says it all.
Yeah.
Because people really be buzzing into these like numbers, like the whole body. Instead, but then the way out is the stillness. You're talking about the natural flow.
Yeah, the better that you can stop, the better that you can go. So like the more that you get quality stillness, then you're gonna just recharge better, and then all the dopamine releases and the serotonin releases are gonna be just more satisfying, be satiated.
And then you could go through like your last cycles or whatever with it to fully appreciate it, like you tried to recreate the whole time. But like, I don't even know either. But it seems like it does get to a point where you can actually appreciate it in a way where it's like more proper and aligned with the reality, I guess.
Yeah, it's just something that's keeping you moving forward and not spiraling in a destructive way or in a offensive way. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's probably a better word for that because there's probably nothing wrong with being offensive if it's balanced with defensive, and then it's kind of no separation in a sense. I feel like I don't know. I don't know what the best word for that is because destructive is like destruction's kind of good. It can be used in a good way. And offense, shit, we all play offense a little. You know what I mean? And it's not like it's a bad thing if you do it the right way. If you don't play no defense, then then you got destructive. Then you're just James Harden.
Yeah, and so the words come into play in a war field, I guess, like field or grid, like that. Yeah, and even just negative and positive. It's like it's sort of like looking at the shades and aspects of it. That's why I want to look more into electrician or just like circuits and shit. So I'm pretty sure that's like there's some keys there specifically
Yeah, no, I got
about negative and positive.
yeah, man, like just all types of wiring stuff and anything like with that kind of stuff. I feel like because then you're just learning metals too. You're learning about conductivity. The more that you can electricity, the more that you're gonna realize like, man, this metal is conductive in this way, and this metal because they're using different metals. You know, they say it's what like an ounce of gold in a 5G tower. I think every 5G tower got gold in it.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it's gold in your blood and copper in your brain or whatever. So I guess a lot of shit uses copper to conduct. So I mean, I the more that you get into that, the more that you're gonna learn, I guess, about the metals in your body and just electricity and conductivity and all that.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild seeing it.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta, yeah. That's applied electricity is definitely I don't know, man. I feel like it really, with knowledge, man. I've seen some pretty people that eat garbage, but they got so much knowledge of that type of stuff. And like, man, this is really keeping you alive because you got like a different kind of knowledge. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like people
No,
be knowing, like mechanics be knowing, like, man, I be knowing about batteries and shit. You know what I mean? That's how I found out that concrete drains batteries. You know what I mean? He was like, yeah, I met this one mechanic. He was like, yeah, you can't leave your car battery on the garage floor like this, man. He was like, you're just gonna drain the battery. I was like, are you telling me all these houses that's on concrete slabs, they just drain energy?
yeah.
And they be just knowing stuff, and it's crazy. Like I don't think they really know how much they know. Alive, like they keep having some self-awareness.
Yeah. No, it makes 100% sense, and it's like even if I'm sleeping in a house right now, it's like 7 or 8 hours of sleep could really just be 4 hours in nature.
Yeah, like it's just so much ringing and so much concrete. Like I wonder how much it helps to like ground out the ringing from all of the EMF, but like all that radiation coming off of like towers and everything and the Wi-Fi's. I wonder how much is getting absorbed by the concrete and you know kind of helping at some level, so it's not just chilling around us. But at the same time, I really don't know, man. And I know Pharaoh used to always say that he was like, man, people could. He was like, if you could find lead paint, then you could paint like I guess a room in your house off so that the EMF can't penetrate because the EMF can't go through the lead paint. He was like, that's why they outlaw lead paint. He was like, yeah, that's what he was saying. He's like nobody was eating lead paint. He was like they wanted to get rid of it so that the grid could penetrate.
Huh.
I don't know, you know what I mean? It makes sense. Like I feel like if you had like a computer, if you could put it like in a lead box, or just like control instead of having like a whole house painted in lead. I feel like just like situations like that, and then maybe you insulate yourself from the lead. Like you just have like one layer of a room of the wall lead, and then insulate both sides of it. Maybe I don't know. I feel like it'd be nice, man. I know this one dude was telling me he got a horsehair. He got horsehair walls. He was like, yeah, Wi-Fi can't penetrate it. He didn't. It's not like he meant. It's not like he meant to do it though. He was like, yo, I moved into this house. It got horsehair walls, and the Wi-Fi don't work in here.
Okay.
So I don't know. That seems like a better alternative.
People experiencing like tons of static, tons of buzzing. Like it's just entropy. Just feels like it's just this draining effect in the environment until the Wi-Fi was turned off and everyone was like, oh, it just had this huge relief.
Yeah. You really don't notice it. Like you just like saturate in it, and then once you get out of it for a minute, you're like, damn, that's crazy.
And it's everywhere, and then for more up, but that shit is I don't know how much like ET interventions happening. Like I keep saying that. I keep getting to the point like I don't know. Like I feel like there's just a lot of things that you could just do in a glimmer of a second. Cause like 1 hour here is like, 1,000 years somewhere else, and they just hop in, boop, just like grab that, deal with something. I don't know. I'm still tripping though. I could be tripping.
I mean, I think it's right, but it's just like different levels of those probably of the ETs, where it's like they trying to keep motherfuckers underneath these God grids, so that only shitty ETs can access you instead of like maybe the whole ETs.
That's when it gets to the point where there's like differentiation, because probably the original situation happening. What I'm looking at, like what I'm learning about, is it's like it's specific bloodlines from two specific beings. It's like 2 or 3 beings. It's like specific bloodlines. With like if it was Enki and Enlil in them, it's like 2. No, it's just those 2. Like because Enki, I'm learning, is like the god of the Lord of the Earth, and Enlil's the Sky God, like really tyrannical Darth Vader Sky God situation. I don't know. Yeah, and then Enlil's been here on the land, and there's like, there's specific bloodlines that I don't know. And then that's when the whole cedar race conversation comes in, and I'm pretty sure like around now is like when you come back, Hermes coming back to check on the seeds to see what happened. I don't know though.
Yeah, I wonder how it is. I wonder if it is like a G check, or if there's a constant monitoring, or if it's like, all right, once you die, or once you transition or whatever, like, you got, it's almost like you finish, you got to check out at the end of the day or for your work, and you got to give, when you die, you basically giving up your file. Life is a file, it's the same letters or whatever. I think it's like, like God or whatever doesn't even have to constantly look at you. Maybe I don't know if it's constant monitoring God stuff, or if it's just like, every night you go to sleep and then you give up the file, and everything that you ever did is in it, and it's like it can just like be way better than any quantum computer that man can make, and it's just like, I see everything you ever did like in a flash,
and in a couple seconds.
Yeah. So I don't know. And I guess that's why they're trying to keep people on the grid so they never check in. It's like never going to the doctor or something. You never have a. Now you can't even see a bad dream. Like bad dreams is probably a good thing.
Just to block you from like getting to that point. Because ultimately, so I feel like because I'm going back or forward to the like talking in electricity terms. It's like a charge, like all the negative emotion, like anger or whatever that people are still holding on to mentally. It's keeping up like this charge. So when you to pass through the portal of death, you have to like collapse that. This called the collapsing process. They're talking of like collapsing all your experiences into that that key form, the like what I mean, like the smallest, like the you that has no charge. Like you collapsed all the experiences into just nothing, so you don't feel any. You're not angry about it. You're not triggered by anything that happened to you in your life. You're like, there's no emotion there. There's no charge, so you can actually successfully pass through death. And if you can't do that, then you're stuck here on the grid, like with your plasma, because they can measure plasma electrically now, and that's how they're talking about ghosts. Like the physicists and the electro engineers are like really looking at ghosts as just plasma bodies now that need certain nodes of like a center of gravity that's like so they can move on to the other side. But it's just a matter of like getting in alignment with that geometry. If it's like
Yeah.
perfect geometry, perfect golden ratio shit.
That's probably what a lot of parasitic possession is, man. Like it's like you going through shit for not just you. You're going through shit for like every being that can access the wavelength that you're on. Probably like if you're drunk, all the drunks that are like in your state of consciousness can like experience like you know through you. They can experience, I guess, getting over being a drunk. If you don't, then you just stay. All of y'all just stay looping.
Continually, and I'm pretty sure that's Enki.
Yeah. I mean,
It'd be like
anything
giant.
that's gonna.
They're huge plasma parasites. They're huge, like interstellar. They're giant plasma parasites with these hive minds, and they don't have souls. I think that's the issue. Is like there's just something about ensoulment and like where a soul comes from, and like is that what the parasites are like leeching from? Is the soul? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that it's just some type of being that's just kind of like a trash, like a garbage man.
I meant to say Enlo too earlier. It's just for the sake of the video. I'm so sorry, but I switched the names. I'm still mixed up the names, but I think it's Enlo, the giant. Enlo's the giant parasite, but my bad, bro.
Yeah, I only know Enki. I feel like I've read some of that stuff a while ago, but I didn't really get too in depth with it. But yeah, man. I think it's just like garbage men, man. Like, and they just got too crazy. Like, it's like, you know, it's like if you was a garbage man and you had a purpose to like take out the trash, whoever is not acting right. But then like the parasite, the shit just got so parasitic in some way somehow. Now, the shit just expanded to where it's just the whole shit turned into like a god grid farm. Like Farrell was saying, like that it's god grids. Like it's a bunch of grid. You know what I mean? That's on top of grids. That's on top of grids or whatever. So I think that the parasite just reached a whole nother level of consumption. Yeah.
That's always the craziest part of the conversation, but it's like, oh, they didn't lose the war. They just found a better way to beat you that you don't realize you're going to beat. And then,
yeah, like you think about slavery, like it was just like more rudimentary where you had like all this separation. I guess it was probably like, so you had like an individual and then they get fragmented into a bunch of bodies, and one of the bodies is like the Shiva, is like the god self or something, and then one of the bodies is like the Kali or whatever, and then there's a bunch of other bodies between them, and like now you have like a plantation, and so like the master, which is like the god self in a sense, is separated from all the other things. So it's like everything's separated, and it's separated. I mean, it's really like one body in pieces. So because somehow the slave and the master relationship between the body and the god self within it got separated, and then now the body gets like more further separated, and now you got this like you have this world of plantations, a bunch of plantations all over the world now, where like you got a God self that like is it's it's um it's inferior in the sense like of the true definition of the world, like it's like inferior like interior, and it's like it as far as the physical world is concerned, it can't do the physical things. So it needs, is now it's like a parasitic relationship between slave and master instead of like a oneness. Like I feel like it got physically embodied through fragmentation instead of like all of it being one body, where the slave and the master is like one thing. And then it got externalized. So then now you got like all these different um, masters or all these different I guess slaves, however you want to look at it, that are all like kind of crossing wires in a sense. Like if everybody's a cell in the body, and then like everybody has a certain kind of parasite, or a lot of people do, and then that parasite grows in that and on these few people, and then it starts to connect with other people that have that parasite, but it might not be fully formed. But it starts to like they start to like tap in to like all the other because I think it's just like that, like how you got the angel of lust is Asmodeus, but then it's like the opposite of Asmodeus is Uriel or whatever. I feel like just for the sake of the conversation, like everybody has an Asmodeus and everybody has a Uriel, like kind of like the angel and the devil on the shoulders thing. And like I feel like it's just gotten to a point where like everybody's demons have just collaborated and started to like entangle and start to work together and created separation between the bodies and their God selves and everything, to where that you probably have some parasites that just consumed other parasites, and now it's just like a big super transformed parasite now that's taken over more bodies and got more underlings.
Just a broken puzzle.
Yeah, like I can only think of it like if you had, it's kind of like a Rubik's cube, almost like a mixed up Rubik's cube, and like you could have I don't know, that's the best way I guess I could put it metaphorically, is that everybody has all these parasites already in them, and like as soon as you do start, it's just there, they're just there ready for when you do to punish you or to service you in a sense once you do a certain thing. And if the parasite can get everybody to continually do that, then it just empowers itself, instead of being like a servant.
You need just like different organs in an orchestra. Or
Yeah,
different
like it,
different instruments in an orchestra. It's all happening at the same time. And everybody's like, or just different organs in the body. It's just like there's different organs doing different functions, but they're all like coming together.
yeah, like if you give in to wrath, then the Leviathan energy is supposed to destroy you. It's supposed to be like a process. Like you succumb to wrath, then there's this process of you realizing what you did. But if you can somehow create separation in the process, then you can like perpetuate the process of like you succumbing to wrath, and then you never really fully realizing, and then probably by the time you do, it's too late. So then you got to go through it again or something like. And I feel like there's nothing really wrong with the Leviathan energy. It's there to clean up the trash, but now it's reached this point where like it's infecting other people with wrath, and now it's like infectious. Like now you got all these giving off this wrathful energy, and like just collecting bodies in a sense. Like and I guess that's really kind of what all the gods are. I feel like a lot of the gods of the world is like just a lot of them just parasites. You know what I mean? Like that just took over so many bodies because they got disproportioned to where they took over so much room in the body instead of like being their appropriate little demon, little representative in the being. Now they're just taking over bodies completely to where they can just get the bodies to worship them, and then they creating whole cultures like that. And then like every culture, man, you look at any culture under the microscope, they consume they consume all of their environment, and then they consume themselves. So I think that's where we're at in the Great Reset point right now, because you look at it like all the European nations and all of the pale nations are the ones that got pushed on them the most. And it just seems like the whole thing is just to create more food. It's just to get people to identify with vanity, identify with the body. So then once you start identifying with the body, then you can identify with the emotions and the thoughts in the body instead of being an observer and a driver. So now you can create more food and you can just keep them locked in this realm. And then they just become fertilizer for every time the game resets. The game just resets. And if you to trap the soul here, then they stay continually like unconsciously, you know, perpetuating shit, being whoever, being Tupac, being Marvin Gaye, being Sam Cooke, whoever just like came from a very ignorant environment and then they die tragically or they die from something that was preventable, then I feel like that just keeps them being composted and staying in this shit and continually looping and then also being attractive. You know what I mean? Kind of like these chicks, man. I feel like all the chicks that's like pro-abortion, they're just like they're being ran by a being that wants to attract souls to kill them.
Yeah, why would you look like that?
What? Like what? Like attractive?
Why would you be so attractive? Yeah, but
like the ones that's the pro-abortion ones, I think it's just like it's like a siren is like it's so attractive, and then you drown trying to get to it.
Yep. That's the perfect. It's just the soul. What is it? Soul. Yeah, thirst trapping souls.
Yeah, it's just like they're just like a net. Like the self has been pushed back a long time ago, and this other being is in there, using that vessel's attraction to just like a spider web to just catch beings, because it's like yeah, it's been millions of abortions just in America alone, man. And the guy that was one of the leaders of the abortion movement, he just came out and was saying like, yo, I did 85,000 abortions myself. Just by himself, he killed 85,000 motherfuckers, yo. And like, I always wonder, like, is it the same motherfuckers looping? Is it even different souls, or is it the same ones just continually getting shredded and getting broken down further and further in the composting process, like going into like mineral status, and everything is just separated. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then like, I guess then you're probably not even like that's happening to your real body. You're just getting fragmented and separated down, but like your consciousness is probably just like living in dreams of separation, where like you're separated from your family and they're all across the world, or you don't know each other, or whatever it is, just because it's a separation thing. I feel like because your consciousness has to somehow make sense of that. Like, even though you're like your body is being torn apart or your metaphysical being is being shredded, your consciousness is probably experiencing what we call a dream. And that dream is probably just a dream of like hella separation. And like once that can all get like collapsed, I guess all them separation dreams, then I guess the being can like, reformulate and come back and repurpose and be one again, and then you can no longer live in a dream. You actually just like living a dream.
Yeah. It sounds like a successful death.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I feel like it's like it's something happened with the corruption of seeds. Like they say, like with Yahweh, whatever. I mean, I talked to Pharaoh about this shit, about the three dudes that repopulated the earth, you know what I mean? And he said that Ham was hybrid. He was half Aboriginal. I don't know if he's saying he's half Aboriginal, half like what today we would call a Moor or what. I don't know what he's saying he is, but he said he was hybrid, like half Aboriginal, half something else. And then Yahweh is the one that corrupted his seed, and that's who created all the mutants that are soulless. And I just always wonder, like with that process of like corrupting the seeds, like it metaphysically, what are you doing? Like, because like every time I've had like intense dreams or even psychedelic experiences where I feel like I'm in that dormant state, I'm in the seed state, and not in like the flowering state, like the physical flowering state. I'm in the seed state of like what people call death or whatever. And like
Okay.
I think it's just the seed state, the seed stage where you're just in dormancy. And like what is happening to where, because if you're corrupting the physical seed, then you have to already have corrupted the metaphysical seed state at some level. Like some type of separation or something has to be happening. But I don't know. I guess that's the matrix thing. I feel like that was going on. Like,
The matrices within matrices.
yeah, like where you don't even realize like your real body is somewhere else, or like your real seed is somewhere else. Like you're totally separated, and then like you experience separation through like some type of rationalization, some type of dream or arena that is like this separation experience. And yeah, I don't know. I just wonder like if Ham was hybrid, then how, like, what happened? Because the flood supposedly happened and Noah and his three sons repopulate, but like if Ham was hybrid, then who was he already breeding with? Like, was this already happening? Like, was the whole Yakub thing happening in the Americas? What was going on? Like what the fuck was happening? Because he was saying like that everything is here really, like like we talked about before, that America was really Jerusalem and all of that before, and like yeah, and so then everything got like parasitically copied and brought everywhere else, and then everybody their history got flipped around. Like so I wonder like how did Ham end up being hybrid if he existed before the flood and then came and repopulated a lot of the earth? I don't know, but
That's what I'm saying is like the whole Anunnaki situation, as far as like having to go through and do the genetic engineering on these different types of vessels in some way to figure out how to make a soul.
yeah, like how can you make an inorganic soul, right?
That's what I mean. They're just doing it through all these different bloodlines. Like they've been trying to, no, you can't do it. Now there's like all this aftermath.
Yeah, because like the only way you can it's like really nothing new under the sun. Like the only way you can make something new is like to take a bunch of shit from a bunch of other shit and bring it together. And it's not really a new thing. It's just a bunch of old shit making a new thing, supposedly. And I don't know.
Really
I
huge.
mean, yeah, and I mean I know that there's this like actual experience that's actually happening. Like in the Matrix, remember he was like, "Yeah, do you want to see reality?" And then he was like, "This is what New York looks like now," and it's just a barren wasteland, and it's just a place where they're farming, humans or whatever. And like, so like this is I always, I think of it like this is like an overlay that we're experiencing here, like, but it's not really separate. It's just like it's just I guess the rationalization of separation, like. So like I feel like this is like an overlay over top of what is. And so what is always happening, but then there's like I guess in a quantum field sense, like you got all the possibilities manifesting. And so I remember Pharaoh was saying like, how you got the two snakes, the holistic thing on the holistic cross or whatever.
Yeah, the caudation staff.
Yeah. And he was saying that one of the snakes bit the head off of the other snake. So I really feel like all of these things is like really here. Like this it's really here, and we're just in the overlay, like the dub over. That's not it's like a illusory or something. But it's real, I guess, relatively. So like
So one of the words one of the words I asked Pharaoh about was delusion. And it's like just the word like it's just kind of you're muting it. You're like water, like if you're putting water over something, you're muffling and muting something
like a
to obscure.
deluge.
Yeah, and it's considered like it's just making it more that deluge over the fine like the truth, like the fact, like whatever the truth is. And you
Yeah.
get yeah, and it's just all these different delusions they look like spirals. People just kind of go into these spirals, different spirals of consciousness. It's like it could be looked at multidimensional, like you're doing it on like the 3D level, and then the mental, and then like with the physical body you're spiraling, and your mental body is spiraling, and It's just all these different like cycles of spirals of delusion that we're just abstracting from the actual reality.
Yeah, because it's like you're slowing down the line or whatever, the Wi-Fi, the connection.
You're
Like if
muting
you
it.
talk, like if you're talking underwater, you can. It's like it's being received, but way more slow. The molecules ain't. Nothing's even reaching you. It's because it got to push through all that water. It's like taking so much longer for it to get to you, so it sounds all distorted.
Yep.
So I mean, I guess what I think though, like that, like yeah, like you're in a grid, and say like you got like a welder, he lives here. You got a comedy club. The comedy club is here. You got the bar here. It's like those places are like eternal places that are like representations of like they're representations of nature, but like once it reaches like the inorganic state and has to like start to consume itself so that it can return to its natural form. So they can just be, composted. So like I feel like yeah, like you go to a part of the city and it's like all gridded out and everything is in its place, but it's just this unnatural expression of what was already naturally there. It's like the ley lines. Like you can't even do certain things. It's a law line. So it's like you can't even do certain things outside of that, outside of the places. So like it's just like you just I guess it just gets discombobulated, but people still doing the same things. Like if you're whatever
Does
you
it,
are, whatever if you're a police station, it's like this was a organic police station of some sort in this place, and now this part of the ley lines has now went from organic to inorganic, and it just has to crumble. Eventually, it has to eat itself to where it can be repurposed, I guess. And like I'm thinking that there is a natural like the natural organic is like really like so supernatural. Like yeah, like you got the staff with the two snakes, and then you have all these immortal beings, or whatever they like the supreme beings or supreme likenesses of everything is. Like whether it's like a wolf and you got this super wolf that's probably like looks like a cartoon, and then it gets downgraded to like a wolf, and then it gets downgraded to a dog. And but you never can
or
really kill it. It's always there. It's just that representation. The ambassador of that energy is now like a more inorganic, discombobulated version.
and the closer you get to the center of like self-awareness consciousness, it's just like I don't know, like this magnetic electromagnetic grid. Like it's just the closer you get to the center node, that's like how much life you can have. And like yeah, the ley lines are like these certain cross points where you're able to propagate like certain type of energy that's the like the timeless energy. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess if you can keep people lost in a place where they're not really supposed to be, it's like a Venus flytrap or something, man. Like it, that's what it's got to be. It's probably something with that too, just even being called a Venus flytrap. Venus ruling Taurus or something, keeping you grounded in a ley line that you're not designed for, and then now it's messing up another area of the ley lines. Like the ley lines are what they are. You can't fuck them up, but that's like the checkerboard or the chessboard, and then like all the beings or all of the pawns and stuff, they got their places on the checkerboard or the chessboard. But like if you make them out of place, like if you got the king in the front instead of in the back, then it's the whole arrangement to where now the pawns is kings and everything is out of place. And then like in a timeless sense, it's all just being recycled and it's not really in its home. Like I don't know, I feel like whenever you hit the DMT, like you can see like I'm in this place forever. Like I mean, wherever you hit it at it's showing you like I'm in a house that was built 100 years ago. I see that it was built 100 years ago. I see what it looked like, and I also see what it looked like before it was a house, and when it was and when it was just pure, when it was pure. And like I feel like if you got people all out of place, then you police officers or things that's supposed to be constables. They're now being comedians, and the comedians is police officers, and this person's being this, and the counselors is being this, and the judges, That's what Farrell was saying. Like, everything is just a parasitic. That's what he alluded to. I'm just putting this together myself. Everything is just like a parasitic a mimicry. What's actually going on? So like now you have Supreme Court justices. They're the non-judges that are like this inorganic version or less organic version of the real judge situation. Like there really is judges. Like the Constitution is modeled after a real what constitutes this experience or this universe. Like there's a constitution that everything has its yeah. So there's an organic constitution, and then as you get further away from that, what constitutes the organic or nature, the further you get away from that, then the more that you're gonna get into externalized constitutions and that kind of mind over matter. Whereas like before it was like harmony was the mind over matter, and now you got this mind over matter on paper, and like and it's all like supposed to be. The more that you get into disorder, the more that this expresses itself. The more that you have like the judges being, you know, not the real judges. Like I mean, you got 9 justices, and I think you got Clarence Thomas. He probably really always been a judge. He probably always been an Aboriginal judge. He's the only black judge that we got. You know what I mean? Or only dark judge that we got. Like I feel like, and maybe Alito because he's Italian. They're the only ones to me that have any sense. Yeah. I feel like the other ones not being who they're supposed to be. But they're not being who they're supposed to be. But they're being exactly who they're supposed to be because everything's in disorder. So it's like this is the order of the order. But like the seat of being a judge, it's always gonna be there. You know what I mean? And the Aboriginals are like the metaphysical judges. And as long as you, I guess, keep them confused and discombobulated, then it becomes like externalized, and then the people that take the seats, they don't even know that they're Aboriginal. Like Clarence Thomas probably don't even know that he's an Aboriginal judge. That's probably why he has a white wife or whatever, a pale wife and everything now.
When it's externalized, it just turns into pain that mimics the matriarchy, and in that way. That's why they be wearing like dresses or gowns and shit, even in the court, wearing wigs. Back in a minute ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing with that too, though. I always wonder, like, if the wig thing is just because everybody would have like curly hair because it was really Aboriginals, and then they just start they put the get up on. I always wonder that, like, you know what I mean? Because they show these people with the wigs and everything, and I'm wondering, like, man, the wigs all got curly hair, even in the Parliament in Britain. I'm like, man, I think because you look at it like you got black nobility. The Black Knight was the best knight. You got the black belt is the best martial art belt. So like, it's all still there. It's just like you're getting further from it. But like, it's just like we used to talk about Jungle Book. Pharaoh was talking about Jungle Book. He was like, yeah, remember how the orangutans? They was like, I want to talk like you and walk like you, and because they wanted to be humans. And so I think that's kind of where we at. Like where it's like, all right, you motherfuckers not being yourselves or whatever, I guess, like through whatever reason, through coercion of the parasite or whatever, it is what it is now. So I guess they're at a point now where they're like, all right, we're gonna assume the position. So we're gonna do everything that comes with that. We're gonna wear black robes as judges. They don't wear white robes or pink robes, and they with the curly hair in Parliament and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, what is it? They really are assuming the position in every way possible, like
I don't think it's a violation of natural principle.
Yeah, because you can't even, like, in some level, you can't even not attain excellence and go away from that. Like they say, like the real Pope is the Black Pope, the Shadow Pope, and all that type of stuff. It's like it has to be that way, though. Like it has, like in order for you to attain excellence, there's got to be a certain type of appearance to it too.
Yeah.
And like even with the voodoo, right? Like I mean, like even with the supposed Satanists, they just using that Yoruba stuff. That Baphomet is all Yoruba stuff. So I feel like this, it's all they realize the real value is, and I guess that it's just all converted and great, and it's at a funny spot now. But I think it's It really is timeless though. Like some shit will always be in place. Like if it wasn't, then it would all collapse. Like so, we do have Clarence Thomas to be there to be the judge that's the actual real judge, and the other 8 ones is not. But if Clarence Thomas died, then everything would really start to begin to crumble on another level. Like, and I think that's just like it's always going to be a representative holding it down, or everything has to collapse. It's just so like the parasite, because like they can't kill off their host. They just want to create this perception of like of outnumbering motherfuckers or whatever, and all of that. So I think that it's just more so about creating these perceptions, and you look at anything, man. You look at the Semitics that took everything from the Cometics. Semitics being the Jews and the Arabs. Like they basically assumed the position. They start using their language, this the Cometics language, and they shifted it and everything. But they stayed in a core respect for the original, and everybody else kind of, and that's why they maintain a certain kind of power. I mean, you look at anybody that runs them countries in the Middle East, they all pale. You know what I mean? Like it's not, and these are some of the hottest places on earth, like Saudi Arabia, like what I mean? And so I feel like it's it's pretty much just them understanding what the true value is and trying to get the people that are actually valuable to forget somehow.
But not so much to where they're completely gone, because if they are, then there's no reality, actually.
Yeah. So now you got the Semitics. They control the porn. They control so much. When I think about it, like they control all the media, so they control its perception of like who's the minority and who's the majority. Like as soon as you identify with being a minority, like contractually, you're already in prison, kind of.
And the law, and their legal speak.
Yeah, so it's like
traps.
Yeah, so like the minority is forever the parasite, because the parasite can't ever really overcome its host. So as soon as you start to think that you're the minority, then it's you're done, kind of, in a sense. And I feel like that's the whole thing as far as the media. The media is there to make you feel smaller and smaller, and like a minority, no matter what you are, who you are, and because you're powerless. Like they say, the silent majority or whatever. The people that have sense are the silent majority, and the people that have no sense are the loud minority. And that loud minority is always going to create this perception, this skew, this lie
on their grid. The false grid, the slavery system matrix.
It's like all they can do, and I guess it's their purpose, is to create this illusion, and that's just part of the game. And like it's like every culture, every environment is gonna have, I guess, some sort of parasite and producer relationship. And like the parasite just does what it does. It's unconscious. It's not really thinking about it. Like it's not no real. It's just doing what it does. And it's like to expect it to do something else is kind of crazy. And like it's a wild thing, I guess. At that point. Yeah, you get caught up in projection, like a fucked up kind of projection where you're projecting your own goodness onto the parasite.
Yeah.
You just think like they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do this.
My bad.
No,
what are you saying, man?
I was saying like the parasite got you thinking like it comes up in a human-like form. So you look at it like you look at yourself. So you're like, man, there's no way that this parasite could do that or do this, because I wouldn't do that or do this. But it's not. It just looks like you. It's not you. So it has a different capacity. It has a capacity. Since it's more separated from the source, it has a capacity to lie still, keep stuff. And the more that you project, don't dwell in reality, and the more I guess you could just get caught up in the illusion, and then I guess that's when the slavery becomes a choice, where people be like, all right, I'm gonna stay in the illusion and just and be a winner in the illusion.
Just submit. I think that's the sub
Yeah, and then you lead your people into the illusion more.
And it's just more of that dynamic.
Yeah, you know, I wonder, man. I wonder what the whole story. I've read a bunch of shit about like process, man, because they say Moses is from Egypt. You know what I mean? But if America is the real pinnacle of civilization, which I feel like it is, everybody follows America, man. You go to Africa, they listening to Drake and 50 and everything. So like, I feel like you know what I mean? Like America, I feel like is the real pinnacle, or was the real pinnacle. It is still the pinnacle, but like so you got like Moses was supposedly from Egypt. I think he's from America, really, because they say Moses is the one that wanted to usurp his people, and I think he's the one that got up. I think he's the one that taught Yaqub, because Moses. They all follow Moses. You know what I mean? The Jews. I'm gonna call them the Jews because there's no J in Hebrew. So the Jews all follow Moses. So like I look at it like, because the first 5 books of the Bible is Moses, and he's supposedly an Egyptian, and he leading the people out of Egypt and everything. Is the Exodus from Egypt, and I'm wondering like, man, from what I've read is that like he created the Romans, the Greeks, the Persians, the Arabs. He was part of that creating them so that they could sack Egypt and take Egypt over. And they come under different names, but they all just one people. They all one.
Yeah. And that parent super
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like, because Moses is definitely a dark skinned person. You know what I mean? There's no way, I don't care what no one says, even in the Orthodox depictions of Moses, he's dark skinned. And there's no way that you're going to be from Egypt 3,000 years ago and not be dark skinned, yo. You know what I mean? So it's like, even if it's just the Egypt over there, when I look at it, I still feel like 3,000 years ago, it was a rarity. Everybody in that book is, book is dark, except for the people that they make note of not being dark, which is Esau and the Edomites, the Canaanites that lost their color. I think the Gezehites and the people that lost their color, and they call them lepers. They made note of that throughout the book. That obviously, if they're making note of it, they're telling you everybody else isn't that. So I feel like Moses had to be a dark-skinned dude that must have just got jealous and was like, "Yo, I'm about to create these regimes that will, they're gonna come under different. They're gonna have different outfits on, but they're gonna be all the same entity."
It's all just mimicry. Yeah,
he probably just got better at making a soulless creature. You know what I mean? He probably in the beginning was like, "Damn, they're not all soulless enough. We need to get more soulless." So like it got more and more soulless to where now Egypt is taken over by Mamluks, and the Mamluks is Caucasians. They're not from Egypt. They're Mamluks. All you know what I mean? Like Sisi is the president of Egypt today. He's a Mamluk. All is Mamluks. So like I look at it like, man, it was a process of grafting for sure, where like you created, like in Terminator, you got the first Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's not as good as the next Terminator. He's not as strong as the next Terminator, and so like, that's probably what's happening. Where you create a Terminator, you create a parasite Terminator, and it's a quantum Terminator though, right? Like where it's like it's reaching a whole nother level of terminating. To where it's going back in time to terminate. It's going into the memories, going into the dreams to terminate, so that it can write itself into the history and take the power in the future. And it's I feel like like it had to be. It's like a dog that you create to do a job, and I feel like that's kind of what happened. Like they created a parasite that could take down Aboriginals, and I would think that maybe it was just jealous ass Aboriginals from another universe. Maybe they were, and they were Aboriginals. They were Aboriginals or organics from some other place, but they came and tried to hijack this place, and it is a process of doing so. And so they had to do it through, other bodies, different bodies. And over time, they created a perfect body to inhabit, that could proliferate and take over, dark bodies, so that they could have more powerful bodies. Like the movie Skeleton Key. It was
It's a
about
dog show at a certain point. I swear they be having dog shows, but it's like human genetic race shows.
yeah, for sure,
Be
for
looking at it
sure.
like that.
And like a certain dog's gonna do what it does. Like, Chihuahuas, they might never have chased a rat any day in their life, but if you put them around a rat, they're gonna immediately just go towards it, just because it's ingrained in their ancestry. They was created. And like, I feel like, yeah, like that's kind of what happened. Like in the movie in the Skeleton Key, they had these there was two old white people, and the one was like bedridden, and the other one was the old lady, and her husband was bedridden, and she was like, yeah, she was trying to sell her house or something, and so she brought in these people, she brought in a couple, because she wanted, like, every whatever generation, the next generation, the parasite, or they would leap into another couple based on whoever's winning. So if the darkness is winning right now, we're gonna leap into dark bodies, and if the white people winning right now, we're gonna leap into white bodies. And like it was, the whole shit was like like New Orleans. They were like in New Orleans because the voodoo was strong there, supposedly. And like basically, they had this old white couple, and they got the house from some old black couple, years ago. And they took the black couple, took over the white people's bodies through some voodoo process, and then once that body started to die, they needed new hosts, so they started like saying like, yeah, we want to sell the house, come stay in the house or whatever, come come see the house. And yeah, and all they had to do was get the host to believe in voodoo, and as soon as they get them to believe in it, they can access them. And it's a dope ass. To me, the concept of the movie is pretty dope, and I think that's kind of what's going on, I guess, in a nutshell. The Bible is so accurate, but the translation is so fucked up throughout all these processes of translating and changing everything. Because I feel like it is like the Bible. It didn't need to be written until it had to. Like they were saying, like in the Tao Te Ching, like, yo, when everything's in harmony, then the Tao Te Ching is written in everybody's hearts. You don't have to read it. So I think that's what it was. Like the Bible basically structure was written in people, and then it had to be physically written, and then it got translated, and then it got triple translated, and then now it's like so lost in translation where it's like adulterated. Yeah, the core of it is still there, just like how like Clarence Thomas is still a judge. Like, some shit is still there. It's just that you got to know like how to read it, you know what I mean, or how to see it like that. Like if you go into it another way, then yeah, you're just be a slave too.
Yeah, the truth is always there.
Yeah. No matter if I tell a lie, and I don't have control over the truth. I just got control over the lie. Really, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not like I can stop you from experiencing or realizing the truth just because I'm telling a lie. I have no dominion over truth. You know what I mean? It's like it's there available. It's like, people gotta accept that the truth is always there, and that the no control over that. There's no way you can even tell a lie without truth.
And that's when it's just coming down to not even coming down to it, but it's just reading nature like a book, and then getting more like higher or lower with your perception on like how to read what's behind the symbols.
I don't know how we can get back to nature, like real nature, without everything getting flipped on its head. Like it just like everything kind of got to get flipped on its head. I don't know how that you can have steel structures and all these inorganic structures still existing. What would be the process of that? Like, do you just nuke them shits? Like, if the world woke up tomorrow, if everybody woke up tomorrow, would you just nuke all the cities and then just go live in the forest? Like, or would you just let them melt?
Like all
Huh?
the inorganic structures would melt.
Yeah, like would you let it? But like if everybody woke up tomorrow and they were like, all right, I'm gonna commit my whole being to the organic, what would they do to these inorganic structures? Would they just walk away from them, and let them crumble into the ground, or do you just obliterate them, speed the process up? Like you just napalm them? Like what would you do? Like how do you how does this even happen?
You just, it's like, I feel like it's just gonna take, it's just really, it's crumbling in front of our face like right now, but it's just on it's on these time scales that are kind of bigger than we're thinking. But this is like, it's crumbling, it's falling in real time. It's just, but we're not even in real time.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely happening. You know, them structures can't stand forever. You know, like it's probably true that civilization probably peaked in 2001 when the towers went down. Nobody probably ever thought them towers was gonna come down. So like, I get everything is already on its way back to the earth one way or another. But I feel like if you was to really wake up, like how could you even do this in a gentle way to where you'd have the inorganic beings starting to work with the organic so that they can be released from their own prison and so that the organic can be released from their prison. Like how can you do that in a gentle way? Like is there any, it's not even possible. I feel like it would still have to be a
Bliss
massive shift
experience.
at some point.
I feel like there's a secret in bliss experience, and like the human just being a gate. Like once, because once it's like there's entropy, and then the opposite of entropy, which is like rejuvenation, right?
Yeah, I mean it's got to be some type of critical mass of entropy or rejuvenation.
So
Like
and
if,
so I'm saying bliss is rejuvenation, like as far as like how it can code your blood, like in your DNA and stuff like that. Like the experience of having a bliss itself. Like once people in their culture are able to teach their kids how to have bliss experiences and just live in bliss, that's sort of like the node point where anything that's hanging out from the smog of whatever else it can, like it actually has somewhere to pass through to go to the next situation.
but like as far as the critical mass, like you know, it's plenty of people out here. We got relatives that like if they was to kill off the parasites in their body, those parasites regulate so much of their being that if you killed them parasites off, that the body would die.
Because there's a higher percent. It's probably like 80% parasite, 20% them at that point. Like the closer you get to that threshold, I guess is where you can start to detox. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, like as far as like the world at large, like it's got to be a critical mass point of like sickness or a critical mass point of rejuvenation to where, all right, people realize like, all right, I'm gonna stop hurting myself, stop hurting the world, and move forward. Or like the shit spirals and the culture reaches that point where it's like, all right, zombie apocalypse. Like every culture, just mathematically, it's mathematics. As soon as you start to spend more than 50% of your income on food and fuel, you have collapse of civilization. It's mathematics. It's not even anything. It's nothing anybody can do once it reaches that threshold. So like I feel like you know how do you even stop that? How do you stop that rush of a collapse to where you know people can gradually get out of it and gradually you know ride off into the sunset instead of what seems to be happening right now, where you're going to reach the threshold of zombie apocalypse where everything eating itself, like the culture eat itself. Like,
So there's
that's
some sort. It's like the opposite of a vaccination, like a love virus or something. It's like this love virus or this death virus or this like not love virus.
yeah, absence of that, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I got, how could you do it? Like, I mean, I'm just thinking though, like, I think it's like it just has to happen, right? I mean, at some level, like the culture can't sustain itself. So now all of the beings within the culture, they've already consumed so much of the host, to where now they have to consume each other. And it's,
Unless they can go into the virtual reality room and live off like that.
yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, and then you can condense everything. I guess then you condense everything. Then if you have a billion people living in VR, then it's kind of it's almost like they're just condensed. It's like a condensation instead of
Well,
having a billion people living out their lives physically. You know, physically flying planes, physically driving cars, physically being
physically
scavengers.
eating each other.
But I still feel like even if you're in a VR, then then it's the Soylent Green thing. Like they're gonna be eating themselves still in there.
Yeah, and so they don't eat eat the organic shit out here, and they just eat themselves. And then I feel like that's what Meta and Facebook and probably all of them are like really looking at, like, oh yes, like
I guess, and then it's like, but I feel like it's like the Inception thing. It's like when you're in Inception and you failing, you just go deeper into a dream. You go deeper to try to extend it, to go deeper into a dream and deeper, and you just, I guess, drag as many hosts as you can into that.
yeah, that's hell, bro. That's hell. That's how hell started.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, because like if you get a bunch of people in the metaverse, then they're gonna go into the metaverse and try to find a way to create a metaverse within the metaverse, like to slow it down even more, to buy more time to experience, to create even more of an existence, I guess. To us it'd be like, yeah, like to us it's like an hour, but you in the metaverse it might be like 10 minutes, and then you go into the metaverse within the metaverse. It's like, I mean, to us it's like 10 minutes, I meant to say. And then
And then
you
you
in the
can come up with
metaverse.
a system to save you some time in the metaverse.
Yeah, so you now going deeper within metaverse and within metaverse within metaverse. And basically that's what we're in right now, right?
And
Like
so you say, like, that's this term. What is buying time? And like if it's just getting in all these scenarios where it's just like seems like dead ends, literally. So it's just we just go through all these avenues to like buy time so we could maybe figure it out, which ultimately, like, you kind of have to, just because God wouldn't put itself in something that it couldn't get out of, type shit.
and I guess there's a threshold that you reach, and it's just obliteration. And then you just don't exist. And like that's it, man, because you don't want to exist so much, and God and everything at the collective don't want you to exist. So it's just obliterate. You're just going further and further into obliteration. But like Elon Musk was saying, he was like, "Yo, remember video games? You had Pong, you had Atari. Now you have video games. It's like you watch the NBA live, and if you was to catch like NBA live at the corner of your eye, you might think it's a real game on. You know what I mean? If you're not like looking at it, and you're just walking by and it's the corner of your eye and you just see like somebody playing NBA live in the distance, it might look like a real game. And so in like 10 years, it's gonna look like almost indistinguishable from reality.
Yeah.
So like in 20 years, the games are gonna feel real, like totally real. So like if that's the case, like given that theory, like Elon Musk was saying, he was like, the probability of us not being in a simulation is like 1 in a trillion, 1 in more like 3 trillion or something, because we're probably in a game within a game at this point.
And that's where the things like the holographic mind and stuff come in. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, so you can break through it.
You could be on a craft having this training dream, like, as a part of some other thing.
Yeah, and then like you can tap in inorganically or organically. Like in the one Matrix, I think it was the second one. You got Neo. They thought Neo, when Neo was in purgatory, and they're like, yo, we think he's jacked in. We think he's not jacked in with the machine, but he's somehow jacked in organically. Like, and I guess, yeah, like at some point it's possible, man. Like, and it's a two-way street. I feel like it's a two-way street though. Like the more that you have like say you get an Aboriginal to go into the VR, and then they go into the game within a game within a game like that, then whatever beings or projections or parasites that exist in that level of existence and that wavelength, then they must be able to come back through that Aboriginal, just like the Aboriginals be able to go into their existence.
Like a damn portal.
Yeah, they have to be able to. There's got to be a two-way street like that. Like in the one Matrix, the Agent Smith, he picked up the phone. I don't know if you remember, like they could transport out of the Matrix through picking up the phone. I don't know if you remember. So like, they would pick up the payphone, and then they would go back to real life from out of the Matrix. But the one in the one Matrix, Agent Smith, he ends up picking up the phone instead of he took the phone from one of the dude. He killed one of the people and took the phone from them. So when it rang, he was able to go back into that dude's body in real life. So Agent Smith was able to tap into real life
Parasite
through
metaphor.
from the Matrix. So I think that's kind of what's happening. Like as soon as you get one Aboriginal to go into that, it like opens that portal to where those parasites can come from those bowels of hell up through all the layers, and then that they can infect, I guess, the mind or the body or being of that Aboriginal, and then that Aboriginal has a kid, and then it's like at the end of the first generation, the parasite's probably in the recesses, and then as the shit goes, at some point it's gonna take over. Like Ham was supposedly black, but he had Canaan, and then Canaan ended up having all of these pale kids. So at some point, it just, I guess, if you're not really taking care of your seeds, it can happen. Like,
Yeah.
I really feel like it just takes one, you know what I mean, to fuck up the whole shit for everybody because everybody's connected. And like, I don't know how you can, like, how do you stamp that shit out? Like, do you do it through exile? Like, do you banish motherfuckers? Like, in the Bible, God banned. He was like, I banished Esau to the wicked, the wild, the wilderness, to the mountains or whatever. Like, because that's what he was saying. He should be banished. I hate Esau. That's what God was saying in Malachi. You know what I
Like
mean?
you kick them out of this universe, and they have to like maybe try to make their own somewhere else.
I just don't. I don't know what you do. Like, I don't know what, because it seems like the Moors tried to teach motherfuckers and that didn't work. Then it's like you banish motherfuckers and I guess they get their shit together enough to where they just come back with stronger numbers. And like, what can you do? I guess it's just the process. Like you really gotta. It's really an internal thing. I guess you just gotta do it from the inside out and embody shit and and you gotta just save yourself. And I guess the game is gonna keep playing. Life's not gonna stop when you do. I guess you gotta just accept it. Like, yo, I beat the game within. So when the game stops, when the game is unplugged or when the game resets, I'm out of here. And this game's gonna keep playing, but I'm out of here. Because I don't know how you can. I don't really know how you can stop it. Like it's like part of this game. We're in a game within a game, probably, and it's a
exit stage left.
yeah. It's like a design. Like it's no way to. It's like if you don't want to play Mortal Kombat no more, you turn the shit off and stop playing. It's not like you make Mortal Kombat Grand Theft Auto. You just accept that it's never going to be Grand Theft Auto. Like, and I feel like that's kind of like the situation here, where you're just like, yo, this is a loop. This game is a loop, and to move forward back to what is. I can't save nobody. I can't carry nobody to heaven. I gotta save myself. And
who's gonna herd the sheep?
Yeah, I really don't. I guess it's just like at that point, then the shit gets filled. You know what I mean? Like one man enters, one man leaves. So like I guess like if
change of God.
Yeah, once Pharaoh passes, it'll be a new Pharaoh, and once the new Agent Smith, once I pass on, then it'll be another one that takes over. That's like genuinely attracted to this experience or game, and then once you beat the game, you don't keep playing it. Like that's what I think. I think it's not like you just don't want to be looping, but I feel like it's part of somebody's progression or some being's progression to come into this. Yeah, like if you have a baby, I know you be like fed up with this shit. You're like, I'm so over this life. But if you have a baby the right way, you probably are attracting something that really is coming to a place like y'all genuinely need this.
And be making sense.
That's what I think. And then it's gonna be the adversary to your baby, and then it's gonna be the friend or your ally to your baby. That's gonna come into the game. And it's just like no way to beat that. Like that's just like part of the grid and the laws of the situation. Like there's always going to be enough rope to hang yourself or enough rope to climb out. So I think it's always going to be there. The allies and the enemies are going to be there, and you're going to always have that. You're always going to have your Morpheus and your Agent Smith relative to you or whatever. And once you're like, I'm done with this dynamic, man, I'm moving on to a game that's better. You don't keep playing Grand Theft Auto 5 forever or whatever. Move on to the next.
Yeah.
Like you can't change the game. You can't change the game. You just go move into another one. Like you get me? Like you should hate the game, not the player. You know what I mean? You don't hate Agent Smith for being Agent Smith. You be like, I'm gonna elevate my game until I can't. This place can't house me no more, and I go to another arena, and I'm not playing in the D League no more. Like.
Yeah, and if it's like with parasitic people, like dealing with them, because was profound. I was thinking the other day, like someone could do some shit to make me want to punch them, but the battle I have to go through internally to not pull the trigger or not to punch them is that's like the way out, like it's of the external fight, and then you just level up like that.
Yeah, it's like you're going more into the anima and being an animal, or you going away from that and more into the being the animus or the immaterial and the contentment or whatever.
That's punching the dude instead of like internally. Oh no, you're good. Instead of internally going through the letting go process.
But then I feel like at some level the punching the dude is a fail safe once it gets to a certain threshold. Like the physical, yeah, the physical is still there for some reason. Like it's just like the last resort. Like you don't want to resolve it that way, but if you have to, it's there.
Yeah, and so that's the rope to hang yourself with.
Yeah, like it's like I guess like if you put yourself in such a hole to where you just now like, all right, now I gotta knock this person out and then deal with the karma that comes with that, learn from that to get out the hole, to get to the next step of the ladder, to get move forward, and then you doing it a different way the next time. Because I really feel like that, man. It's the same fucking choices, but like evolve. It's the same choice, but evolve. It's the same choice with a new outfit. Like in the beginning, you get challenged as a kid in a certain way, and if you don't greet the challenge or the choice the correct way, life is not letting you graduate. You're gonna keep failing, so you don't get to go on to the next grade, no matter how big or grown you are. It's like you're gonna keep getting the same choice relative to what you're in. So in the beginning, maybe it was sports, or maybe it was the bully on the playground or whatever, and then it goes into like the business world or whatever it is, or your girlfriend or whatever in the next level, and then it goes to the next level where it's like wives and your consequences with your children, and just the same choice, of way kind of, or to tamper, and it's just a more involved fashion. Like I don't really feel like it's really any decision. It's kind of a no-brainer. Like when it comes to decisions, everything's like a no-brainer, right? Like
to your true self.
Like, yeah, to your true self, it's just like, look, I already have the vision of what needs to be done. I'm just going through the challenge of training my animated part to see this shit too, and not separate from me. I mean, that's what seems like that's what the game is. It's like the challenge just keeps evolving.
On the cross.
Yeah, because what the challenge is like just going deeper within yourself and learning yourself and realizing yourself more. So the challenge is self-realization that really doesn't change. So like it's just the same. It's the same process of going within. Like, and I guess it appears different ways, in ways that you can't expect. Like karma comes back in a way that you don't really expect, because if it comes back in a way that you expect, then it really isn't doing its job. Kind of like.
Yeah, and that I got lost on the word fail-safe too. Like I'm like, damn. Like really, what is a fail-safe in this situation? It's like it's all like everything's always gonna be there for you to realize yourself at some point, and it's the same point that you already know. And like the delusion, we can go into infinite, delusions. Like there's infinite flavors you can make out of 5 flavors or whatever, just to get to that. But it's like, but there's always still the reality that eventually, I'm not even saying eventually, but like it's there though.
Yeah, like bitter is bitter forever, and sweet is forever. But you can play with everything in between. But as long as you don't lose sight of the core, then you can continue to play.
But why would? But playing is assuming that there's a game going on, and it's like, and that's where it's crazy. Like, oh yeah, like so I'm trapped in my mind. It was something in between me and my joy and my bliss of playing and being childlike, because there's this trauma from this game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just turned from friendly competition to make everybody better into something else, to like scarcity competition. to where there's not enough success for everyone. There's only, if you have success, then that means I must not have success, even though there is still success in losing, or there can be, and there can be failure in winning. So like, I guess just losing sight of that, to where, who wants to just shoot jumpers alone forever? You know what I mean? Or who wants to kick a soccer ball on the field alone forever? Like, it's you want to be able to interface so that you can see what you're made of, and get better, and then you can make other people better, and that feels good to make other people better and make yourself better in the process, because there's no separation then. But once it becomes, I guess it should be a better word than game. I guess, but play is the cool thing. I think play is like what children do. You play, but then like you just don't want to play yourself. It's just, and I guess that's when it goes from playing to a game, when it becomes a sacrificial thing, because that's game just means sacrifice, and sacrifice. I mean,
shit.
yeah, when you trying to wild game is what you're hunting. You know what I mean? So anything that is game is a sacrifice. Sacrifice just means scarcity, because if you have to sacrifice something, that means you have to give something up to get something, instead of like you have to give something up like unnecessarily.
All that lack.
Like, yeah, like so you gotta slaughter something on behalf of a god or whatever it is. You have to sacrifice it, give it up, unnecessary. It's no like.
You could give it up. You could give it up just for the sake of giving it up, but not give it up to get something.
Yeah, like a sacrifice would be like you have to lose yourself to get something, instead of like still being able to maintain yourself and experience something. Like sacrifice is more so, I guess, possessive, instead of like, whereas like realizing yourself through experiences and experiencing things, you don't own anything, you just have them and you move on. But that's what I feel like. It's just a scarcity thing. Once it becomes game, then it becomes like you have to be better than other people, instead of looking at it like I'm not competing with anybody but myself. And that's kind of what everybody is. But you lose sight of that in a sacrifice. And yeah, I feel like that's really that's the difference, I guess, where it's like one is playing, one is just friendly competition, or complementary competition, and then to make you more competent, or you have games, which is sacrifices, which is I gotta be better than you, or that makes me less. Where you can look at it another way.
Wow.
So yeah, you're right though. Like the whole game thing is like such a trauma response, man. Where you like you're looking at everything in scarcity. Everything's in the view of scarcity.
Everything's so serious.
Yeah, like you gotta beat the other person. Like you're not looking at it like, yo, I'm playing to get the experience. You play to win regardless, because that makes everybody better. But the whole experience is why you do it. It's like like the destination is the path, or whatever.
Yep. Cool. That makes a lot of sense.
It's like when they say like in a negative way, I guess conversely, they would say like the punishment is the process. I guess like if you got to go through slander, or you got to go through imprisonment, the whole process is the punishment. It's not the idea. It's not the being in a jail cell thing, or it's like if you have to go to court, then you're going back and forth to court spending money, and maybe at the end of it you get acquitted, but you still got punished in that whole process.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where it's at. Like the process is either punishment, or the process is the goal.
That's when it's satisfying. That's when it's like primordial satisfaction going on.
Yeah, because then it's eternal at that point. Because the process, and you don't lose sight of yourself, so you don't lose sight of the fact that the process is ongoing.
And it's not to get anything.
Yeah, like, but there is still like always this process of like of winning, I guess, or accomplishing, or attainment of contentment. Like like yeah, you're going into a stage of separation, and now there's this challenge of realizing the oneness through this illusion, so that you can get to another stage of separation and realize an even greater sense of oneness. Because if there was nothing, if there was no illusion or separation, sense of separation, then there would be no process.
No time.
Yeah, and then no space, and then you just in some hell, which is just with just you. And I think that's what hell is, man. I think that's like
You come up
just a
with
universe.
more time in hell.
Yeah, you're just getting folded into a universe of everything is you, and it's the wrong kind of universe. Like whereas like you got a universe that's um all the different colors of the rainbow accenting each other, or you go to a bland universe where it's just you and you're just in hell with you and there's nothing to accent you. It's just you. So you have no perspectives that can fix your problems because it's just you. You're just in that viewpoint and just in that perspective, and nobody else has different perspective. So there's no way to get out of that perspective.
Oh, that sounds like hell.
I think that's where Bill Gates comes from. I think that's where all of them beings come from that have human-like bodies right now. I feel like they come from places where it's nothing but things that are just them. And it might even look different, but it's all still just them. One organism, like a hive mind, like you said.
But it doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, and there's nothing to accent it. It's living in so much separation that it's only able to like merge with itself and like and through a not a complimentary way. It's through like consumption. It's like dog eat dog or whatever. Like one parasite eats the littler parasite. Bigger parasite eats the littler parasite, then a bigger parasite eats that one, and it's just like an entropy thing. Yeah, where you're just constantly being depleted and eat a snake eating its own tail thing.
That's when it gets ugly. And
Yeah,
like perfect symmetry, perfect golden ratio geometry is like getting more to like it's like, but it's having to do with the opposite of the neg entropy. It's like these. That's the center of gravity.
yeah. It's a funny thing, man. Like I guess you know how where would anybody be without some type of adversity. It had to be something, whether you're just in complete nature and you gotta deal with the elements being your adversity, or you gotta deal with fucking parasites. I don't know. It's like something's got to be there, like some type of natural resistance, so that you can bench press it and get stronger.
Until the point that ends. Like,
Yeah, different types of strength, I guess, get realized, because
it makes sense.
or it's like power, I guess, instead of strength. You graduate from strength to power, and like everything, instead of having these like delusions of grandeur and these grandiose ideas, everything gets more and more reduced, and you're going deeper inside yourself. Like that which has no form can enter where there's no space. So it's like the closer you get to yourself, the closer you get to the immaterial. So it's like your identity getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until
Compression.
where yeah, so it's just primal and pure, and then there's no way you can be bound to anything because
Pure
you're just
principle.
like you're just like yeah, it's pure.
Pure,
So there's no
yeah, you're pure
yeah,
principle.
yeah. At that point, you can navigate freely or without bound.
And that's when you can go through portals. And I swear, like, or like real stargates or things like that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, the more you get in touch with that, I don't see why you couldn't. But the more that you lost in the false identities, the more that you're gonna be too big for the keyhole.
Yeah, it's all that charge of all those emotions that are disorganized. It's like so if you want to go through, it's like the same preparation for death or preparation for a wedding. The preparation to go through a Stargate is like get your whole aura in order and organized, get all your emotions sorted out, so you can actually do that. Some people go crazy if they like try to force it with like certain shamanic journeys and like their quote unquote astral hygiene's off, and like so people could like go through the center point of the sun somehow in this like shamanic journey, but they come out and they lose their mind on the other side because they didn't have those emotions compressed.
Yeah, and I guess the more that you get in touch with yourself like that, the more that you can get in touch with like your overall body. So you're not gonna like if you have like one of you is a carpenter, one of you is a metaphysicist, one of you is a electrician, then you can tap in like that, and you can start to like merge them all. So now the carpenter, he's having dreams of being a metaphysicist, and the metaphysicist having a dream of being an electrician, and then now they all starting to be one, to where it's no separation. And then you're not missing out on experiences. I feel like so much of it is the fear of missing out, but the fear of missing out is going to get dissolved the more that you get in touch with your whole being, because some part of you is experiencing whatever you're missing now, like some part of your being. So like if you get split into two people and then one goes left and one goes right, but in your dreams, if you're the one that went left, then you just dream of the one that went right, and if you're the one that went right, you dream of the one that went left. There's no separation. But if you block yourself and then you all you focus on is the lack and the things that you might be missing, that you don't even know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing. So you lost in this concept of missing. So then now you're like separated from yourself and you're living in lack. Now you don't even have access to the part of you that is experiencing what you think you're missing. And the more that you collapse that, and the more that in a physical way, I feel like you do get the experience. Like say if you are like separated from the source and from your tribe or whatever, and then or even from your soul or from whatever, however you want to look at it. So from yourself or whatever. So
it's a fraction. The soul's getting fractionated. That's what it looks like.
So either way, it's gonna be some type of physical experience that's gonna be able to link you back. Like and that's the thing I feel like as far as miracles go. Like it's just gonna seem like a miracle because you can't fathom it from the human perspective, like how something's possible. Like if you like some experience that you feel like you're lacking or whatever, it's just like the collapsing of the timelines into one. But like it seems miraculous, but it's really basic. You know what I mean? It's really just not living in the lack, and then that physical when that merger point happens to where you do have a physical merger with yourself and have a child or whatever it is, and you get linked back into your tribe or whatever, or you reunite through that process. Physically, there's always going to be a physical element in the process.
So I'm saying physics is like has the keys.
Yeah, you can't, and the metaphysics and the physics, they're not separated. It's all physics. Yeah, so like it's always going to be a physical element to it. It's not like you can just do it conceptually, because if you can do conceptually shit, you could just think like I'm in the NBA finals right now, so I just did it. Like now, like you have to physically go through it, and it's a route to that. But
like electronics.
Yeah, but if you live in lack, then you're gonna look at it like, oh, I can't do that in this lifetime, so fuck it. I'm not even gonna focus on that or whatever it is, whatever the goal is. But if you have the patience and the self-realization, then you can look at it like, there's no time limit on this. I just have to be myself, and then I can tap into the limitless experiences, and then I can realize them. And then the more that I'm present with myself, then I can go into those experiences and I physically feel them. And it's physically happening. But it's like when you have a dream. I've had dreams where I feel the sun on my skin in the dream, and I'm just like, man, the more presence that you have, the more in a dream or whatever, the more that how can you distinguish it from reality? And the more that you get in touch with the dreams like that and collapses timelines where it's all oneness, then I don't see how you wouldn't have like you form like Voltron kind of, and then you have your physical expression of self-realization, your physical, you call like what you have physical heaven, or physically realizing God, or physically meeting the creator, whatever like that. It's like an inside out thing, but I feel like it's also physically going to happen to you too. Like your consciousness is still going to experience it through some sort of sensory body. That it might not, it just you just probably can't fathom it from a typical human perspective, but it's there as soon as you can step outside of that, and then you're stepping outside of the bounds of time and stuff.
That's kind of what DMT is about a little bit.
Yeah, that's like the doorway to it.
Man, you said, bruh, I mean, even thinking about how time limits, like you put a time limit on a limitless being, and just through fear almost, it like bubble encapsulates this experience into like something when it was really nothing.
Yeah, like
I'll be feeling time limits, like
yeah, it's like I guess it's just like you challenging yourself because there's got to be some type of againstness, I guess, in this illusion of separation.
a
You're gonna have
catalyst.
to, yeah, something. Because if there was no time limit, then there would be no challenge. But at the same time, if you use your timeless self, then you have no time. There's no end to your time. It's just the way you manage the time to where you can tap into your timelessness, experience being a librarian to the fullest, the experience being a fireman to the full, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but if you're like, oh man, I'll never be a fireman. You know what I mean? I hate being a librarian. Then you never really fully be a librarian, and then so you never really get to experience nothing else fully. So then I feel like that's when you just get lost in the fragmentation cycle, and then you become a drone because you're not doing anything fully. You're being broken into pieces.
And out of that, so now it's like, can we just not like? It seems like maybe like two, maybe three different things like people can start to find themselves in that is like probably having to do with their hands, and I don't know. Like if you were a drone, it's like how do you find yourself other than like so the satisfaction that you're getting out of like putting something together yourself, or like just seeing how things work yourself, how they function.
Yeah, I guess you just gotta look at it like, man, I'm an extension of a greater being. I'm just this fucking hollower version. I gotta do some specific ass thing so that I can merge back into the one timeline.
Or maybe it's not specific things, but just to do whatever you're doing in a specific type of way, though.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of like it's still like a purpose that you created that body or that holographic body for. Like it's like if you create a wrench to do wrench things, or a screwdriver. It does screwdriver things. I mean, you can make it do other stuff, but it's not going to do it as well. It's like
Yeah.
it's just like accepting the purpose of the tool that you're being at that moment, and then you get access to the whole toolbox.
That's the instrument, having access to influence the whole orchestra.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have a beautiful symphony and then one note throw the whole thing off.
And it's just each individual, player, they're putting their effort in to do their part. So, the whole thing, like with that level of responsibility. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why everybody's path is important in the collective sense, and to themselves, because then they can return to their wholeness instead of being, some type of intruder in somebody else's dream.
Yeah, that's the fail safe right there. It's just like you're all of us, so it's kind of like you're always gonna be there to find yourself. Like as long as you're there, that realization is right there, just waiting to be had.
Yeah, I guess it was a point where the parasites was just being unconscious parasites, right? Then they got more self-realized because the true self or the aboriginals giving them the power. So like through that process of experiencing the power, you start to realize yourself more. I feel like so. Then now you get to the point where you're like, all right, I got the choice to continue to be a parasite, or I have the choice to do something else. And I feel like that that's I guess the process. You kind of got to defang yourself, not be a parasite no more. And it's gonna be really almost nearly impossible for a lot of parasites to get to that stage of like, all right, I'm gonna stop being like this. It's just like it's almost like a dog. It's not gonna stop eating the food that you put in front of it.
But if it gets self-realized enough, it might be like, wait a minute, I don't need this food, I don't need this master, and I can go hunt for myself, and be in symbiosis instead of being a parasite. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like that. That is almost impossible for that to happen. For the dog to realize that it doesn't need what is consuming, and it's another way. It's almost impossible. But at some level, it is possible. It's just very unlikely. And so I guess you just have there's going to be anomalies here and there that just are going to mathematically happen.
Man. Because I'm thinking of it as even just you're trying to like wake a baby out of gestation like 3 months in or something. Like they're in a process.
Yeah.
Wake them up out of like it really just be on this other time scale. It's like to get someone to stop behaving like that, it feels like there is some sort of reality that's gestating from there. But when it does, when that's, I don't know, when the distraction comes in, I feel like that's where all like the abortions come from. It's just all these aborted ideas and aborted realities and shit. It's sort of like that's like a physical reflection of like what we're doing with consciousness.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much the suicide button with that one. But I guess at the same time, it's like it's what's supposed to be, and then you're gonna have somebody that's the anomaly. You know, you're gonna have somebody that realizes, and then they're gonna do the work to undo the damage, and then it will have a crazy ripple effect because it's like you treat the small as the large. You know, if you penetrate one of the fucking drones in the hive mind, you're gonna infect the whole hive mind because they're just fragments of one being. So. You just gotta get one.
Vaccine. You're the opposite of a vaccine at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because there's a physical reality, like there's like a real way that happens for sure. It's there. We're just not aware of like what that's gonna look like.
Yo, and I looked at it like as far as like a rudimentary sense, man. That's why like I did what I did with Audra. I could have been like never went through the process with Audra, but I looked at it like, yo, if I go through this process, it's gonna teach me kind of how to raise a daughter for one, and then for two, it's also I know that everybody that identifies with her face that looks kind of like her or wants to look like her, they're all gonna by default get infected by certain things that I pretty much like injected into her experience. And now, you know, it's like all of it's like if one person as a fragment, they're gonna go and dream and connect with all the other fragments because it's just one part of the body, like you said, like a virus.
Cool.
Takes a lot of patience, though. I don't know. You know what I mean? That takes a lot of patience, man, to deal with that, man.
And where's the limit on your patience?
Yeah, I guess it just reaches a point where, like, I'm not about to sacrifice myself for you to lose yourself. I'm just gonna do whatever I have to do to continually realize myself more and more. And if that means getting away from you, that's what that means at some point.
Physically.
Yeah.
It's just it's like that's the physical reality at that time when that decision has to be made. Cause like, and that's when I don't know. That's what requires the most presence, I guess. Like those points.
Yeah, like you can look at it like, all right, I'm kind of in this situation from now to some point. I can kind of look at the gas tank and realize, like, all right, maybe got 1,000 miles left in the gas tank, whatever. And so you realize, like, all right, I could just take this ride with you and make it the best ride we can so that, you know, the environment is better. Or I could just get out now and then you're just going to continue to be a predator. You know what I mean? And they might not stop being a predator, but they might just be less of a predator. You know what I mean? And they might just infect other predators, and those predators, you know, might change a little bit. And then, you know, who knows what that's going to do for 1,000 years from now.
It creates so many anomalies, so many more anomalies with that original pure intent. It's like it's gonna unfold in timelessness for sure.
Yeah. You gotta do, you know what I mean? Nothing is for nothing, so you gotta do something.
Wow. Nice.
I
Okay, it's
guess
7 o'clock. I got a
yeah.
studio session in a few hours, so I gotta get ready.
All right, man. Yeah, I gotta charge my phone anyway, man. So it's perfect.
Oh, it's almost 2 hours. We'll probably get 2 hours the next time. It's so great, man. I've been on the beach this whole time, just right here at the ocean.
Word, man. Yeah, I'm just sitting out on the back porch of the cabin. But
Oh,
yeah. All right, man. I guess hit me up. To all the patrons, man, thank you. And I guess whenever we're together to do this again, they'll get the notification. And anybody watching it later on YouTube, subscribe to the Patreon. Good, I guess. Out there.
yeah. The deep gratitude, like the deepest gratitude, goes out to the listeners specifically, and like in light of that too. The last video, there's the back half of the conversation. I'll send you to post on your YouTube now.
Okay, yeah. The last half hour. All right.
Yeah, so that can go up on YouTube. This will be up on the Patreon, and then we can decide what to do with it after that. But yeah, probably I'll wait for the next conversation. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you,
Word,
Taylor.
yeah, man. No, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure, man. I'll be talking to you, man. Have a good rest of your day, and go kill him at the stew.
Okay, I'll be my best, man. I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the flip, man. Bless.
All right, bro. Peace out.
All right.